it's been about a week, but I've been under the weather lately. But I had to get on here to make a video about Loki. So I have been keeping up with this series, and it's really good. They're really jumping into the whole like multiverse thing, and I see that Marvel has set up their franchise for like at least another decade just from Loki alone, with the whole bombing of the timeline and Sylvie killing He Who Remains and some other variant of Kang the Conqueror coming in and taking over. That last episode blew me out of the water. Okay, like that last episode was something else. Okay, everybody was theorizing that King the Conqueror was going to be the big bad of the series and probably of the Marvel series from here on out. But I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. I don't know what I was thinking about it, but it was really good. Just the entire series, just as a rundown. Them explaining how this Loki, basically how we have Loki, basically. That he was the Loki variant from whenever they messed up, whenever they went back in the Endgame movie to get the Tesseract and accidentally let him get away with the Tesseract. Which was kind of funny, because it's like, first of all, so people were going back and forward, like in some videos, comments saying like, well, it was Hulk's fault because he took the stairs. No, it was Tony's fault because Tony made him take the stairs. This is what I'm gonna say. It's Tony's fault for being clumsy. Like, first of all, when he got that case with the Tesseract, he should have took off running. Like, they should have like hurried and got out of there. But he's just taking his time and walking. And I guess because he didn't want to be suspicious. And then the Hulk throws the door open because he's mad because he had to take God knows how many flights of stairs, which that was understandable because ain't no way they was gonna make it down to the first level alive with him getting on there. And then he just throws the door open and knocks Tony, which, like, I get that he knocked Tony really hard with that door, which Tony Stark should have been dead. I'm sorry. Like, he was not wearing a suit. That him getting hit by that door by the Hulk with his human self, he should have been dead. But anyways, he drops the Tesseract, which I don't even understand how it came out of the suitcase. Because he got hit, not the suitcase. And even if it hit the floor, does that make it come open automatically? Anyways, so I thought it was interesting that they had that prepared long before Loki, the series, even got here. But it also kind of made me sad because he was like looking at the things that happened to the Loki variant that, our Loki variant, the one that died because of Thanos, and no amount of getting the stones back and snapping him out of here was going to bring him back because he just died, Which kind of made me sad. I'm not gonna lie. I know Loki was a trickster and he was always stabbing people in the back, especially Thor. But it made me so sad when Thanos killed him like that. And he was actually trying to be like a hero. And right in front of Thor, and Thor was like, I'm gonna get you back for that. But anyways, it made me sad. And it still makes me kind of sad because, like, this Loki is not necessarily our Loki. I mean, he's Loki, but he's not the Loki from Endgame. So I kind of was like, I don't know how I feel about this Loki. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, that's neither here nor there. So it's a bit weird for me in the sentiment area because I know that this isn't the same Loki and that he'll probably never see Thor again. But, it's whatever. But anyways, the whole thing with him meeting Sylvie, her, explaining what happened with her backstory, how Renslayer snatched her up out of the timeline she was in because you're a variant and had to like run, and she's trying to figure out, so why did they have to come after her? Why can't they just leave us alone? And getting behind or getting down to who was responsible for ruining her life, taking her childhood basically. And I get it that she had a lot of trauma because what happened and all that. That's completely understandable. I get it. Who wouldn't be? She had, no childhood. She couldn't live like a normal person because of the TVA. But I feel like she justified a lot of bad things she did with that. Like, it's like, how many hunters, innocent hunters who were just doing their job, did she kill just to get to Renslayer and then to get to He Who Remains? Like, it's like, so I get it. You're doing all this because of what happened and you want to get down to who did it, who's responsible, but where's the line drawn? Where it's too much, That's one thing I didn't like about Sylvie, And then she was like, oh, well, I just don't know if I can trust anybody anymore. And then when, like, they found all the other Loki variants, which I thought was pretty cool, especially, like, classic Loki. Classic Loki was out of this world. He was just, like, making, allusions just left and right. And then alligator Loki biting off people's hands and stuff. That was hilarious, by the way. But there were so many points in this series that hit me in the feels. Like the part with him watching things play out on screen, with Morbius, watching his mother die, watch the other variant of him get killed by Thanos. Then whenever he got, pruned, being sent to that place, and then them realizing that the Alliath was keeping them from getting where they had to go. And classic Loki was basically like, I'll distract him while you guys do what you have to do. And he builds up that version of his Midgard. Asgard, whichever one it was. And it was just sad because he was explaining how in his version he made a projection of himself, and that was what Thanos killed, and he just slipped away and he stayed away and he became lonely and he just wanted to go back home. He just wanted to go home. He just wanted to see his brother again. But the moment he stepped out of wherever he was that was keeping him hidden from the TVA, they snatched him up. And I was like, this man just wanted to go home after being lonely for like so long. Like, and that was really sad. And then, he's there after being pruned. And he was just saying like he just wanted to go home. He just wanted to see his family. And then he builds up that Asgard. First of all, that was so cool. And the music, magnificent. He's building up this Asgard. And I'm thinking, well, he's an older Loki. So his powers must have grown, of course. That's why he's capable to do all that. He distracts the Alliance and dies in the process. And people were like, oh no, he's not dead. He's not dead. And I'm just like, I think he's gone, guys. Like, I didn't want him to be either, but I think he's gone. And then they get what they gotta get. And then they get to the little citadel where Miss Minutes scare the living daylights out of everybody with that jump scare. Ridiculous. That was just completely unnecessary of Miss Minutes to do. Offering them stuff like, oh, well, Loki, I can get you the throne. I can kill, I can get you the gauntlet. Like, you could be the hero. Talking about Sylvie, you can have your life back. You can make better memories. And they're like, nah, we just want whoever this is that's behind all this. And they find out, oh, it's Jonathan Mayer's plan. Well, in this version of, I think, King, it's He Who Remains. Jonathan Mayers is a really good actor. I just gotta put that out there. Seeing him in this role was really, really cool. And, well, some people said that they really liked the way he played He Who Remains, and then some people didn't. I did, personally. I loved the way he played He Who Remains. And I feel like a lot of people were explaining, like, why they had him portray He Who Remains the way he did, and I agreed. And it was because the guy was there for, like, thousands of years, babysitting the timeline. Some of his, reasons for why he did what he did, what he did, like taking people from their own timelines or wiping their memory. Like, I'm like, if you want to take people, at least take people who were in bad predicaments, who needed a fresh start. Don't just pluck somebody who had a nice life you just took from them, but he took certain people who he wanted to take or who he felt was best to take. And that's why he did what he did. And to keep the other Kang variants from causing multiversal wars. Which makes sense. And, it kind of got to the point where I was like, okay, well, you know what? He's got a point here. Like, I was all for, like, let's get to the bottom of who's doing this mess. Let's get to the bottom of who got all these people up here, wiping their memories, using them for whatever purpose. But then when he started to explain, I was like, okay, now hold on. Let's pump the brakes. That actually sounds scary and the truth, and we might need to think over some things. And then when he said, you think I'm evil, wait till you meet my variants. I was like, y'all really need to think about this now. Like, I was legit like, I think we need to think about this. Because, and some people were like, well, he can't be trusted. And I'm like, okay, but at this point, sure, I think he has reasons to lie. But what really reason does he have to lie? But, I was like, I think we need to pump the brakes here. And so did Loki. He was like, no, we need to think about this, Sylvie. And she was like, I don't care about anything that comes out of his mouth. I want him dead now. And I was like, come on, Sylvie. And then they ended up fighting. And I was like, no. And then they have their little romantic moment. And I'm just like, look at this. Like, classic Loki was saying, it's a shame that all of us, every single last one of us variants, all we do is backstab people who care about us. None of us can do the right thing, seemingly, but he did. And I was thinking, okay, I think Loki has matured as a Loki. Like, he told her, you can trust me, even though she was like, are you sure I can trust you? How do I know you won't stab me in the back? He told her, you can trust me. And he was trustworthy. He was worthy of her trust. And I think he finally become what he wanted to be. Somebody who could be trusted. And he found Sylvie. I'm sure he wanted somebody who he could love. But it's like what he said. He felt like he couldn't be trusted and she couldn't trust. I feel like the problem wasn't him, it was her. She didn't trust him. Like, she had gotten to the point where, she just didn't want to trust anybody anymore. And she was so led by her vengeance. Her revenge. She didn't want to trust anybody. She just wanted to get revenge. She just wanted to kill he who remains. She didn't care about anything else. And to me, it kind of just felt like she was like, but I'm not you. And then she pushes him into the portal back into the TVA. And I'm like, now all that you were talking about, are you sure I can trust you? And you became the person who couldn't be trusted. I was like, I know this woman didn't just do this to this man. And then it's like I said, I just feel like she was just, it was like she was with him until he no longer wanted to help her with her vengeance. Like, it was all good, rainbows and puppies, until he was like, oh, I'm not sure if I really want to do this. Like, let's just think about this first. And this is an example of a person who's led by their emotion and by vengeance. They can't see clearly, and I feel like she let that cloud her judgment. Like, I get it, she was mad. She wanted to get him for everything that happened to her. Those feelings were valid. But I feel like this is also kind of like a slap in the face. Because I feel like what they were trying to say is that women are emotional and that they can't make mature, good decisions whenever they are like scorned, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, I'm not gonna even take it that way. But that's what she made us look like. But anyways, like I said, I sympathize with her being angry. But she should have listened to him. Because after what he said, it's like, okay, think about what he's saying and what could be the consequences. Sometimes the option that we think was the best option, which what she thought was to kill him, isn't always the best option. But she bypassed that. And she killed him. I was like, oh my God. And then the branches started, branches off of the main branch. And I was like, she done messed it up. And, and then Loki goes to Morbius and Hunter B-15 talking about you can't, you gotta. And they're like, what are you talking about? Who even are you? And he was like, what are you talking about? And they're like, oh, he's an analyst. Like, let's just get him someone else. And then he starts looking, and then you can see this look on his face. And that was like before the other look that was just like, I just got betrayed and I felt so bad for him. And then he was looking like he was like, and I'm like, oh God, what is he looking at? And then you see that statue. And I'm like, they done screwed up the timeline. This woman has screwed up the timeline. And I think that, because apparently somebody said that the TVA exists outside of time. So I think what happened was when she killed He Who Remains, one of those Kang variants stepped in and reset everybody's memories. And now they working with a clean slate. What is he gonna do now? What is she gonna do? I'm ready for season 2 already. I'm excited and scared. They didn't open up the whole multiverse and paved the way for all the upcoming movies and shows. So tell me what y'all thought about this in the in the comments below. It was good for me. I'm still mad at Sylvie, but y'all tell me how y'all feel.